I want to shift your focus now to the Georgia-Oklahoma game. The Rose Bowl was a fantastic game. Oh my goodness. So Georgia won yesterday 54-48 in double overtime. It was a great game. It was fantastic. It did not happen like I expected, but I did expect Georgia to win. But I was really surprised. I figured that if Georgia and Oklahoma played in a close game, I thought Baker Mayfield and the Oklahoma Sooners would have the edge because they had a better quarterback. But let's look at the stats. I really thought Baker Mayfield was going to give Oklahoma the edge in a close game. Here's what happened. Baker Mayfield was 23 for 35, had a 66% completion percentage, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception, 1 big costly turnover. In contrast, and very similarly, actually, not in contrast, very similarly, Jake Fromm had a 69% completion percentage, was 20 for 29 passing, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, and did not have a costly interception. To be honest, let's be very clear. Jake Fromm, Georgia's quarterback, played a cleaner game than Baker Mayfield. And this was a large part of why Georgia was able to keep it close with Oklahoma for so long. I did not think Jake Fromm was going to play this well. I was very impressed and surprised. Jake Fromm he stood up, he was ready for the task. He was up for the task, and he kept pace with Baker Mayfield. As much credit as we give Baker Mayfield, and I have not given enough credit to the Georgia quarterback, Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm, he held his own. He was fantastic. He really played a great game. And let's be very clear, again, he played a cleaner game than Baker Mayfield. He had a 69% completion percentage. He took care of the ball a little bit better. And because he was able to keep up with Baker Mayfield, that helped keep Georgia in the game against Oklahoma. But the truth is, no matter what you want to say, people are saying Oklahoma gave up this game, Oklahoma this, Oklahoma that. The narrative that everyone wants to talk about Oklahoma. Can we talk about the truth? The truth is Georgia ran all over Oklahoma. They had 2 running backs with over 100 yards rushing each. Sonny Mitchell had 181 yards. Nick Chubb had 145 yards. Look, Georgia just ran, again, all over Oklahoma. Oklahoma could not tackle Georgia's running backs. Oklahoma, I watched over and over again big runs made by Georgia where Oklahoma just could not tackle anybody. I watched there was a big run, I believe it was by Nick Chubb down this right. He ran right to the middle and down the sideline, down the right sideline. And I watched a safety for Oklahoma just fall over. It's like he didn't want to even try to tackle Georgia's running back. It was like, man, Oklahoma does not know how to tackle. And so that's the narrative I want to go with. Let's look at this. The practice rules in the Big 12 really limit you from tackling in practice. So in the Big 12, you were allowed 2 days a week of full speed practice where you can tackle in practice. In the SEC, in contrast, you're allowed 3 days a week in practice where you can tackle and take guys to the ground. And over time, that really adds up. You're getting 2/3 the tackles if you play in a Big 12 program. So over an 18-week stretch, you tackle for 54 days in the SEC and only 36 days if you play in the Big 12. That's a big difference. That's hundreds of tackles maybe over the course of a season that you'll be missing out on. Over time, that adds up. And the question you need to ask is the Big 12 hurting itself with their rules being more limiting than the NCAA requires? Or does the NCAA need to step in, similar to the government in some situations, and level the playing field so that everyone has the same amount of practices where you tackle and take guys to the ground? Look, I don't know the answer. I don't want to try to figure it out. I'm just pointing out the disparity. Oklahoma has made 2/3 the tackles in practice than Georgia has this year because of the limitations they have in practices. Now, maybe the Big 12 is doing the right thing by focusing on player safety, limiting tackling in practice, but let's be honest, the Big 12 is not known for defense, and the big reason why is because of the rules they have for tackling in practice, and it showed yesterday. Oklahoma could not tackle Georgia's running backs. You can talk about Baker Mayfield, you can talk about Lincoln Riley, you can talk about Jake Fromm all you want, but the truth is, Georgia had over 300 yards rushing and just dominated. It looked like Oklahoma wanted nothing to do with Georgia's running backs. They did not want to tackle Georgia's running backs. Nick Chubb, Sonny Mitchell, they look fantastic. They really, really dominated yesterday, and that is the storyline I want to focus on. Georgia ran all over Oklahoma yesterday in the Rose Bowl.